Hello and welcome back to the Tin Barn. I'm Pragmatic Lee, and in this week's video we're going to continue on a little project that I started a few videos back, or same theme as that video. We're going to make a mill vise V-jaw. Now, if you recall in a previous video, I made this one, which is two pieces of pipe attached to the jaw. The jaw bolts onto the into the mounting screws that hold the fixed jaw on the vise. Now, got a lot of comments about this. Some were, unique idea, so forth, complimentary. Others were critical, and then others were suggestive. And I appreciate all of them. But one of the several folks commented that by using pipe like this, I would crush it when I shut the vise down. Well, this is at least schedule 40 pipe, probably 100 thousandths thick wall. It would take right much vise pressure to crush these tubes. Several people pointed out, though, that these 1032 screws that I was using holding the pipe would probably fail. And you're probably right. If I put enough force on a vise or on a piece of work held like this, I could probably bend these screws over. But I've used this several times and it's worked pretty good. But as I said in the video where I made this, my intention was to build something similar to what Tom Lipton did, but not near as elaborate as his. So I've got a piece of 1.5 by 1.25 stock here, and I've got it laid out of what we're going to mill out. This blue section in here where I put a little blue will go away, and on each end that will go away as well. I'm going to leave that on the ends until probably one of the last operations, simply so I've got more meat to hold on to. But let's get turned around over to the mill. I'll set it up, and instead of going 45 and cutting this out first, I'm going to set it up like this and rough out a great deal of this section in here. I'm set up in the mill vise now, and as I say, what I'm going to do is just use this roughing in mill and take out as much of this as I can, just going close to my scribe lines on each side. Okay, I'll bring you back when I got a little more of this V roughed out. I've got the majority of the V hogged out now. I've set it up on a size higher parallels. And what I'm going to do, I've got a 3/16 end mill here. I'm going to cut a little more, rough out a little bit more, but I'm also going to go down below the bottom of the V. Purpose for that is, as you can see in this regular V block, this is the part I'm going to cut now. Purpose of that is give some grinding relief. So when you're grinding here, obviously you can't side wheel grind and bottom grind at the same time, but this gives a little relief so that you can stop the wheel before it runs into this edge over here. And once I get down to the bottom of the V, I'll probably go another 75 thousandths or so worth of relief. Smaller end mill, so I'm going to take it a little slower now as I advance back and forth and not take quite as much cut in the depth. I have, before I started this process, I did locate the center and got the vise, excuse me, got the table clamped down with the mill on the center of the vise, center of the jaw. All right, that is about to the bottom, to this line down here. So what I'm going to do is zero out the Z-axis DRO, and we'll go down about, again, about 75 thousandths below that, see what that looks like. That was 46 thousandths there. Let's go on to the 75. There's 80. I believe that's going to be a plenty. This is the only purpose this will serve will be just to give grinding relief. It will give a little relief when we here on the mill when we cut out these sides with the end mill. But for the most part, that's just going to be relief for grinding. So I'm going to get set up now. What I'm going to do is mount this piece in the vise now. I made this piece off of camera, kind of for the idea of making these. But to be able to get the 45s in this, I had to use angle blocks sitting underneath the vise. I have this to what I am certain is a good 45-degree angle. So I'm going to mount this in the vise, and then we're going to set this up and mill just a little bit more of these stair steps off. Try to get it down to the line before we go to the surface grinder. All right, I'm reasonably sure this is in there good and tight and it's not going anywhere. But instead of x-axis back and forth, which would put pressure on this side, I'm going to start at the, I'm going to do all my travel back and forth on the y-axis. Now this relief we cut in here is also going to give me a little space to work this down to my line as well without crashing into this side. Now I've got the most to take off right up here as well. So I'm just going to keep easing it down until I get down to my line. All right, I'm reasonably happy for that. With that, I need to go just a little more. All right, we'll go in just a little more. All right, I think that's good enough with the roughing end mill for this side. I'll set my Z-axis DRO. I'll zero that out. Now we're going to turn it up and do the other side as well. And as to the best of my ability, the V in this V block that I've got mounted back here on the vise jaw is in the center. But just in case we keep everything, or just to be sure we keep everything in center, I'm going to set this up to do the other side. Got to get my air hose hooked back up. All right, as I was saying, I'm pretty sure everything's in the center there, but we had this set up to do that way. I'm going to do the same thing over here, keeping it on the same side. And that way, when I come down to my 0, this V should definitely be in the center. No questions asked. All right, that's our 0 mark. I'm going to peep around here on the back side, and that is right down to our scribe line again. I'm very satisfied with that. All right, I think we pretty much got a V cut now, with some relief down in the bottom. One of the things I want to do, though, before we go over to the surface grinder to finish this piece off, I want this to be the same height as my vise jaws. That's the same thing I did when I made this piece. But what I want to do this time is rough some of that off this top before we go over there. So I'll get this out, and then we'll get back, set back up to do a little more roughing on this piece. Got it deburred and got it in the vise now. And I've measured between the top of my jaws and this, and it's about, looks like 54 thousandths over. So I'm going to take about 40 thousandths off here on the mill, and then I'll take the rest off at the surface grinder. I want it to be flush with the top of the mill vise jaws for holding pieces, just like I showed you when I made the other piece. All right, I had zeroed out on top of the vise jaws. So there's 0. I'm going to come back about, there's 12 thousandths, 13 after I tighten it down. And just to be sure, I don't want to crash into my mill vise, my vise jaws. Yeah, I can see under there. The batteries ran down in my cordless microphone, and I didn't get this. I'm doing a quick voiceover on it. But what I'm showing there is I got the top of the jaw in line with the vise jaws, with the top of the vise jaws. And here I'm pointing out that what I want to be able to do is hold a 3/4 inch piece. And as you can see, the vise jaws, or the V block, is a little bit too deep for that. It won't clamp down on the 3/4 inch piece at this point, so I need to shorten the depth of the V. And of course I needed to set that up on a couple of parallels where I could get to it. And I'm start out here taking about 75 thousandths. In the end, I'll wind up taking 150 thousandths off this thickness here, so that the V is shallow enough that I can hold the 3/4 inch piece. As I said, I wound up taking 150 thousandths off, And as you can see now, the 3/4 inch piece extends beyond the depth of the Vise. And all I'm pointing out here is that we're going to go over to the surface grinder and grind these surfaces. Okay, I got a clean dress on the wheel. I've got our workpiece mounted in the vise now on a 45-degree block, just the same block we used over in the mill vise. And so now we're going to try to get touched off. There it is, just touching. So this little relief that we put over here, you'll see in just a moment of how that will allow us to grind the bottom and not side wheel on the other angle. All right, let's go down a thousandths. That, my friends, is all it took to clear that up. Clean that up. I'm going to take about 4/10. All right, we'll turn the piece around. Okay, now we're ready to take our 4/10 finish pass. All right, I think we're ready now to take it off the angle, get it set up to do our flat sides. So I'll do that and bring you right back. This height right here is the critical height. This is what I want to be exactly 1.5 inches, which is what my jaw heights are. So I'm going to dress one side of this just to get it clean. Then we'll turn it over and get that other side to height. Then these two, all I want to do is clean them up. They don't have to be to any particular dimension. Okay, that like just that much right there cleaning up, but the height is right. It's dead on the same height as my jaws. So I'm not going to do anything else to that. I'll just put it down when in the final position. I'll clean that dicum off of there, and I bet you you won't be able to tell the difference from your house. All right, let's turn that up now and get these two surfaces just cleaned up is all we want to do to them. Okay, I think we're ready to go back to the milling machine and take these corners out so that we can put our screws in for mounting it. In the V-block that Tom Lipton made, that I'm modeling this after, he was able to put a V over on this side as well, because he was working with a 6-inch wide vise, where I'm only working with a 4-inch wide. So by him being able to do that, he was able to put some holes in for some clamps and some stops and whatever. But as I say, I'm just using that as a inspiration for this one. If you can see the marks there, I've die-cammed and scribed out the marks, and this block is what we're going to take out. All right, I think with my hand back there, you can see the profile now of what we've been working on. The only thing we've got left to do now is drill a single hole in each side to mount it in these screws. I'm going to carry this over to the workbench, lay out where those holes need to be on the back side, and then we'll be right back. All right, I got the 2 holes marked off, and I've got the first one located over here on this side. Between centers is 2.534. I'm going to see if that will start without using the spot and drill. Oh yeah. All right, I'm going to carry this over to the drill press and just counterbore those holes just a little bit. Don't need to countersink the heads of the screws, just simply because it doesn't need to be flush on this side. But I want to get that burr out, and then I'll get this mounted and we'll wind this video up. As I explained in the video where I made this piece, bolting this in place is not necessary if you're just doing a one-off piece. You want to put a piece in there, locate the center, do your thing to it, take it out, and you're done. But if you've got multiple pieces to do, that's why you need to lock this down in place, because then you could drop something in a situation like that. You'd most likely want to put a set of parallels under your work. Locate the center of this, then you can remove it, lock your table down, of course, or set your DRO. You can remove it, put another piece in, continue your work, and not have to concern with this having slid one way or the other. As you saw just then, you can mount a piece in, setting on parallels. When this 4-inch vise, after adding that, a 3-inch piece is about as large as I can get in here now. 3-inch diameter. Mine could go 3 1/4. The reason I was particular about getting this height the same between this and the jaws is for something, this is out of my scrap bin, but just something that's got a shoulder on it that you want to hold. That way it's setting down on your V-block, and it's supported over here. So it's supported on 2 sides. Actually, in this case, it's supported halfway around on one side and probably a third on the other side as far as down pressure. And then the side to pressure, you got contact here and on 2 sides of your V. Works like any V-block. The only difference is this doesn't have to be, this can be set into place, and it's machined to the height of my jaws. And as I pointed out earlier, I wanted the depth of this V to be so that I could hold as small as a 3/4 inch piece. And that's what this is. I may make another one of these where I might could get down to a 1/2 inch piece. I don't really want to mill down the lips of this V-block any more than it is. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, when I built this one, it was with the idea that I will come back later and build the one we just looked at today. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.